At midnight on March 24, 1989, after the Exxon Valdez struck a reef in Prince William Sound, more than 11 million gallons of crude oil spilled into the waters. It was the beginning of America's worst environmental nightmare. Fish and wildlife perished, and fishermen saw their livelihood vanish. The spill eventually covered more than 4,000 square kilometers. Although Exxon says it spent almost $2 billion in cleanup and millions in compensation, the oil company is still battling court-ordered damage payments. Mike Bybee is with environmental group Sierra Club. He says 20 years later, things are still unsettled.
And 20 years later, those local fishing economies, the native Alaskan villages, still haven't recovered. The fisheries have not come back. And in fact, in 2007, NOAA, which is the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, found that more than 25,000 gallons of oil are still under the surface on the beaches of Prince William Sound.
Bybee says along those beaches today, oil is not visible, but crude is underneath the surface and on the seabed. The oil remains toxic in some areas, according to the Exxon Valdez Oil Spill Trustee Council, formed to oversee the recovery.
And that's what fed into the Valdez.
Cindy Shogun is executive director of the Alaska Wilderness League. She says March 24th is a day of mourning for a whole ecosystem.
20 years later, we've heard that there's evidence of oil as far as 450 miles away from the Sound. And there's certain areas of the beach that it's still as toxic almost as it was 20 years ago.
Some wildlife has returned, according to environmental reports, but most fishermen moved away or found other ways to make a living.
No, I don't think that justice has been made. ExxonMobil continues to resist paying the restitution that was declared by the courts, and those communities are still fighting to recover what they had back 20 years ago.
Even worse, experts say there is no technology to completely clean up an oil spill.
It's going to live on in history as the biggest environmental disaster we've ever encountered. And we have to make sure something like this never happens again.
But with the prospect of more oil exploration in the region, they say the environment will continue to be at risk. For producer Zulima Palacio, I'm Marissa Melton, VOA News.